Hello everyone and welcome to the second part of the Linux install series. This is where we will actually get a virtual appliance rather than doing an install from the install media and going through the trauma of making all of the selections for the packages and the disk partition layout, etc. We can download what's called a virtual appliance from the same website, kali.org, and that's a pre-prepared virtual machine that all we need to do is import that into our virtualization software and it'll start working as though we've done the install, and it's an order of magnitude so much faster. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is go to our Kali website, which is kali.org. And again, we're back at the home page for Kali, and we'll click the download button. That'll take us down to the section where we have our options as to which type of install media we want. If you recall, last time we did bare bones, but this time we want to go to virtual machines. This is where we'll get our virtual appliance. And we scroll down and we can see here that we've got two types. We've got Vmware and Virtualbox. I'll briefly discuss the differences between the two at time of import, but both are essentially virtual hard drives with all the necessary configuration bundled that you'll be able to import into your virtualization software and run from the get-go. Important to note, the default credentials here is Kali. We'll need to know that for when we log on. We want to make sure that we have the 64-bit selected, assuming that your architecture is 64-bit. And I'm going to download the VirtualBox virtual appliance. If you're running VMware, then you will download the VMware virtual appliance. I'm going to click the download arrow and that will open up a download dialog box. And we'll download that and save that to disk. And you can see it's got the extension OVA, which is the Oracle Virtual Appliance. So that's currently downloading, and we'll come back when it's completely downloaded and continue on with the import of the virtual machine. Okay, so we're back again and we've completed the download of the virtual machine, and I've started my virtualization software, which for this instance happens to be VirtualBox. If you're using VMware, then you would start up VMware Workstation or whatever it is that you're using. And you can see here from the previous install, we installed Kali Linux from the install media. So to install this virtual machine, all we need to do is go to Tools, and you can see the import button there. We're going to click the import button, and we're going to import a virtual machine, and the source is our local file system. So we're going to leave that as the default, and we're going to select the file. I'm going to go to where I downloaded it, and you can see there's the Kali Linux 2021.2 VirtualBox AMD OVA. Okay, so we're going to click Next. It should read the configuration file and give us some basic defaults as to what it was configured with. At this point, you can choose to tune it and adjust whatever it is that you feel as though you want to adjust. On this instance, I might actually give it 4 gig of RAM. And I might change it to 4 CPUs because I can. Other than that, I'm going to leave everything else as the default, and we'll click Import. I'm going to agree for the software license. It's just a generic software license that you need to agree to continue. And you can see it's starting to import, and that'll continue until it's imported all of the virtual hard drives, and it'll take up to 5 minutes typically. Okay, so you can see it's completed the importation of the devices and the hard drives, and we now have a new virtual machine that we can start up. We'll click Start. That'll launch our console window. and you can see it starting to post, and it'll boot into the operating system. And we're at the logon screen, so we'll provide the default credentials, which if you recall was Carly with password Carly. We're presented with our desktop. For those of you who recall the previous install video of Linux, you'll recall the effort that we had to go through and all of the steps that were required to actually get a bootable machine running. By contrast, this is significantly easier and a quarter, even less, that we spent on doing the actual bare bones install. My recommendation is wherever you can, I would be looking for a virtual appliance for your virtualization strategy rather than trying to create new virtual machines from scratch. It's just a lot of work where someone else has done this for you and you can benefit from their effort. In contrast to VirtualBox importing of a virtual machine, the VMware is a little bit different, although the steps are very similar. So we'll download the VMware appliance, and we'll save that to disk, and you can see it's actually a compressed file, 7Z, so we'll save that to disk. You can see I've previously done that, so I don't need to download it again. And what you need to do is you'll need to decompress. You'll need to decompress that file using 7-zip. And you can see it's decompressing nicely. Okay, the files have now extracted, and you can open the directory and see the various files. You can see all of the virtual hard drives, and these are the configuration files and the non-volatile RAM that is bundled with it. So we'll launch the VMware console. And the way you'd actually import a virtual machine in here is you need to go File, Open, and navigate to where you have those files. That's primarily the main difference between VirtualBox and VMware, but once you get past that, they're pretty much the same. And again, you can see it's picked up all the default settings from the configuration files, where you can change that if you like, and I'll change that to 4 gig, and the CPU's already set to 4. We'll leave it as the default, and we'll power it on. It's going to say to you that the location of the hard drives have changed. It's just a warning. For the sake of this, just say I copied it. It'll reconfigure the configuration files so that the disks will be located in the correct directory. And we have our logon screen. And we'll log on as the default Carly with password Carly. And we have our desktop. Okay, that's the end of the VMware install. Okay, well, that's completed this video. It's a short one, as you can see, much easier than the other way, and thanks for your time.